Welcome back to the channel Numismatic Coins Coin Enthusiasts. Glowing star in today's video, we'll explore three fascinating U.S. coins that every collector should know about: the 1979 Susan B. Anthony Dollar, the 1980 Susan B. Anthony Dollar, and the 1981 P. Washington Quarter. Each of these coins has its own unique story, history, and collector's value in today's market. From the very first appearance of Susan B. Anthony on U.S. currency to the highly collectible early 80s quarter from Philadelphia, these top three coins are not just pocket change, they're pieces of history. Stay tuned as we break down their details, hidden gems, and current value. Let's get started. Top three. First up, the Susan B. Anthony Dollar is a significant piece in United States coinage history, not only for its design, but also for what it represented socially and politically. It was the first U.S. circulating coin to depict a real woman, honoring the suffragist Susan B. Anthony, who dedicated her life to the fight for women's rights and the right to vote. The coin was first introduced in 1979, intended to replace the larger Eisenhower dollar. The government hoped that a smaller, lighter dollar coin would circulate more effectively in commerce, reducing reliance on paper $1 bills. Its compact size made it easy to carry, but it also led to widespread confusion with the quarter. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of Susan B. Anthony, designed by Frank Gasparo, the U.S. Mint's chief engraver. Gasparo wanted to create a strong yet respectful image, showing Anthony in a profile that reflects determination and dignity. The initials FG can be found below the bust. On the reverse, the design carries over from the Eisenhower dollar, showcasing an adaptation of the Apollo 11 mission insignia, an eagle landing on the moon, clutching an olive branch in its talons. This symbol represents both American achievement and the nation's desire for peace. The design had first been approved in 1971 for the Eisenhower dollar and was reused for the Anthony dollar. The coin was struck in copper-nickel clad composition, the same alloy used for quarters, dimes, and half dollars. It had a diameter of 26.5 millimeters, only slightly larger than a quarter's 24.3 millimeters, and weighed 8.1 grams. This similarity in size and color became one of its biggest downfalls. Despite the U.S. Mint's efforts to popularize the coin, the public quickly rejected it. Shoppers, cashiers, and vending machine users constantly mistook it for a quarter, leading to confusion and frustration. The rejection was so strong that production was halted after only a few years. By 1981, regular circulation production had ceased, though limited numbers were struck for collectors. For the next several years, huge quantities of Anthony dollars remained in treasury vaults, unused and unwanted. Many people thought the coin was discontinued permanently. In 1989 specifically, there was no official production of Susan B. Anthony dollars for circulation. However, the coin remained part of American monetary history, and many circulated examples from the 1979 to 1981 mintages continue to be used here and there. By this time, they were already being collected as a short-lived series. The 1989 context is important because the Treasury still held millions of unsold Susan B. Anthony dollars. These coins were later released into circulation in the late 1980s and early 1990s to fill coinage shortages, which is why people sometimes associate them with that period even though no new coins were minted that year. Collectors of U.S. coins regard the Susan B. Anthony dollar as a unique chapter in numismatic history. While it was unpopular in everyday commerce, it gained attention as the first coin to feature a woman other than symbolic figures like liberty. For this reason, it is considered historically significant. Susan B. Anthony herself was a pivotal figure in U.S. history. Born in 1820, she dedicated her life to social reform, especially the women's suffrage movement. Her leadership, speeches, and activism laid the foundation for the eventual passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920, granting women the right to vote, although she did not live to see it. By placing her portrait on the dollar coin, the U.S. Mint honored her contribution to democracy. However, some critics at the time believed the coin size and design did not properly reflect the magnitude of her legacy. Still, it marked progress in representing women on national currency. The 1989 period also reflects a transitional time in U.S. coinage. The The Anthony dollar experiment was considered a failure, but it paved the way for later dollar coins, such as the Sacagawea dollar introduced in 2000. The lessons learned about size, color, and public acceptance influenced future designs. Today, Susan B. Anthony dollars, including those circulating in 1989, are collected more for their historical significance than for rarity. Most examples are common and affordable, often valued just slightly above face value, unless found in pristine mint state or proof condition. They remain accessible to new collectors. In summary, the 1989 Susan B. Anthony dollar represents an important story in U.S. coinage history. While no new coins were minted that year, the series as a whole symbolizes progress, experimentation, and the challenges of introducing a new dollar coin. Its place in history is secured as both a tribute to a pioneering woman and as a lesson in the complexities of coin design and public acceptance. Next up, the Susan B. Anthony $1 coin was first introduced in the United States in 1979, marking an important milestone in American numismatic and social history. It was the first circulating coin in U.S. history to feature a real woman, honoring the legendary suffragist Susan B. Anthony, who had dedicated her life to the cause of women's rights and equality. This coin was meant to replace the larger Eisenhower dollar, which had proven cumbersome in everyday use. The government hoped the new, smaller-sized dollar would be more convenient for commerce and accepted widely by the public. Susan B. Anthony, born in 1820, played a pivotal role in the women's suffrage movement. She fought tirelessly for voting rights, social justice, and gender equality. Although she passed away in 1906, 14 years before women won the right to vote in the United States, her legacy lived on. When the U.S. Mint chose to honor her on a coin, it was a symbolic recognition of her lifelong struggle and her status as one of the most influential women in American history. The coin was first struck in 1979 under the approval of the Carter administration. The U.S. Mint worked closely with Congress to ensure the coin's design would not only commemorate Susan B. Anthony, but also meet the practical demands of circulation. The decision to feature Anthony's portrait represented a significant break from tradition, as most U.S. coins previously depicted presidents, founding fathers, or symbolic figures like liberty. The obverse front of the coin features a portrait of Susan B. Anthony, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparo. She is shown in a strong, determined pose, symbolizing her commitment to justice and equality. Around the portrait are the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, along with the date of minting at the bottom. This powerful representation marked a turning point in how the nation recognized women's contributions. The reverse back of the coin carries a design that was originally used on the Eisenhower dollar, the Apollo 11 mission insignia. It depicts an American eagle landing on the moon with an olive branch in its claws, symbolizing peace and achievement. This design choice connected the Susan B. Anthony dollar to America's proud legacy of space exploration and innovation, reflecting both history and progress. The Susan B. Anthony dollar was revolutionary in size. Unlike the Eisenhower dollar, which was large and often impractical, the new dollar coin had a diameter of 26.5 millimeters and a weight of 8.1 grams. It was made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, similar to quarters and half dollars, giving it a silver-like appearance. However, its similarity in size and color to the quarter caused confusion among the public, which later became one of its biggest drawbacks. When the coin was first released in July 1979, the U.S. Mint struck millions of them across 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins quickly entered circulation, but the response from the public was mixed. Many people found the new coin difficult to distinguish from the quarter, leading to frustration in everyday transactions. Despite its historical importance, the similarity in size led to limited acceptance by banks, businesses, and the general public. The 1979 issues are divided into different varieties, particularly at the Philadelphia Mint, where 2 types of S mint marks and 2 types of P mint marks were produced. These small variations have become highly significant for collectors. For example, the 1979 S comes in both a Type 1 fill mint mark and a Type 2 clear mint mark, with the latter being much scarcer and therefore more valuable in the numismatic market. Although the coin was meant to circulate widely, It quickly became clear that the public was not eager to use it. Most people preferred paper $1 bills, which were lighter and easier to distinguish. The vending machine industry supported the coin, but overall acceptance remained low. This rejection by the general population limited the coin's success, making it one of the shortest-lived circulating coins in U.S. history. Despite the lukewarm reception, the Susan B. Anthony dollar holds a special place in history because it represented progress in recognizing women on national currency. It also served as a practical experiment for the United States Mint, teaching valuable lessons about the importance of coin design, size, and usability in daily life. These lessons would later influence the design of the Sacagawea dollar introduced in 2000. From a collective perspective, the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar is highly interesting due to its varieties, proofs, and mint marks. The San Francisco Mint produced proof versions of the coin for collectors, which are highly sought after today. These proofs were made with exceptional care, resulting in mirror-like finishes and sharp details. Collectors particularly prize the Type 2S proof coins, which are rarer and command higher values at auctions. The historical context of the coin is equally significant. The 1970s was a decade of social change in the United States, with movements for civil rights, women's rights, and equality gaining strength. By honoring Susan B. Anthony, the U.S. Mint symbolically acknowledged these broader societal shifts. The coin became more than just money. It was a reminder of the sacrifices and contributions made by women throughout American history. The coin's failure in circulation did not mean it was forgotten. In fact, its rarity in daily use made it a collectible almost from the start. Today, coin enthusiasts often seek out complete sets of Susan B. Anthony dollars from 1979 to 1981, along with the 1999 reissue. The 1979 coins remain especially popular, as they mark the first year of issue and the beginning of this unique series. Economically, the coin also tells a story about America's attempt to modernize its currency system. The government had hoped to save money by replacing paper bills with longer-lasting coins. However, the failure of the public to embrace the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar demonstrated the deep cultural attachment Americans had to paper money. This tension between efficiency and tradition continues to shape U.S. currency policy today. For modern collectors, the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar offers both historical value and affordability. While most coins from this year are common and inexpensive, certain proof versions and mint mark varieties can be worth much more. High-grade examples certified by professional grading services are also in demand, especially among those building complete U.S. coin-type sets. In conclusion, the 1979 Susan B. Anthony $1 coin remains a fascinating chapter in American coinage. It stands as the first U.S. coin to honor a woman, a symbol of progress and recognition for Susan B. Anthony's legacy. Although it failed as a practical circulating coin, it succeeded in making history and continues to be a meaningful collectible today. Its story is not just about currency, but also about culture, society, and the ongoing journey toward equality in America. Next up, the 1981 quarter dollar from the United States belongs to the Washington Quarter Series, which began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, this coin became one of the most widely circulated denominations in the U.S. It replaced the standing Liberty Quarter and was chosen after a competition to create a design that would honor the first president of the United States. By 1981, this design had already been in circulation for nearly 5 decades, making a familiar coin to the American public. The obverse of the 1981 P quarter features a profile bust of George Washington facing left. Above his head is the word liberty, while the phrase, "In God We Trust," is inscribed to the left. At the bottom of the obverse, the date 1981 is clearly shown. To the right of Washington's ponytail, the small letter P mint mark identifies the coin as having been struck at the Philadelphia Mint. This was especially important since 1980, because prior to that, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark for circulating coins. The reverse side of the coin carries the heraldic eagle design. This eagle, also created by John Flanagan, has its wings spread wide, perched upon a bundle of arrows symbolizing strength, while two olive branches beneath it represent peace. The inscriptions United States of America and E Pluribus Unum appear above the eagle, while the denomination $quarter is found at the bottom. This design was a classic representation of American values and appeared on quarters until the statehood quarter series began in 1999. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions of quarters in 1981, making them common in circulation. However, the addition of the P Mint mark was still a relatively new feature at that time, which adds a point of historical significance to the 1981 P issue. The Philadelphia Mint was the primary producer of circulating coinage in the early 1980s, ensuring that this quarter reached almost every corner of the nation through daily commerce. The composition of the 1981 P quarter is copper-nickel clad, consisting of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. This was a continuation of the clad composition that had been adopted in 1965 after silver was removed from circulating dimes, quarters, and half dollars. The change to clad coinage was necessary due to the rising cost of silver during the 1960s, which made it impractical to continue using precious metal for everyday currency. The clad quarters like the 1981 P have a distinctive look, with their nickel coating giving them a silvery appearance, while the edge of the coin reveals a copper core when examined closely. This design choice was deliberate, allowing the coins to be distinguished from earlier silver issues while maintaining durability for heavy circulation. Over time, this copper-nickel composition proved to be resistant to wear, which is why many 1981 quarters are still found in pocket change today. In terms of mintage, the 1981 P quarter had a production of hundreds of millions of coins, reflecting the economic demands of the United States at the time. The early 1980s saw a great deal of coin production as inflation and population growth required a steady supply of coins for commerce. Because of this high mintage, most 1981 P quarters remain common and affordable even in higher circulated grades. However, collectors often seek out 1981 P quarters in uncirculated or proof-like condition, as well as those with sharp strikes and minimal blemishes. Mint state examples graded by services such as PCGS or NGC can fetch higher values, especially in grades MS65 and above. While circulated examples are usually worth only face value, uncirculated and certified coins demonstrate the artistry of John Flanagan designed more clearly. The year 1981 also marked a time when coin collecting interest was resurging in the United States, partially fueled by silver bullion investing and the growing awareness of modern mint varieties. While the 1981 P quarter does not have dramatic errors or varieties compared to some earlier dates, collectors do search for strike doubling, off-center strikes, and other minting anomalies that can make certain coins rare and valuable. One of the most notable aspects of the 1981 P quarter is its place in the broader history of the Washington Quarter Series. From 1932 until 1998, the series saw very few design changes, making each year's issue part of a long and consistent lineage. The 1981 P quarter is part of this legacy, representing the pre-statehood era that many collectors now view as a classic period in American numismatics. During this time, the Philadelphia Mint had only recently resumed the use of mint marks, which gave a 1981 P quarter its own point of distinction. The letter P was officially introduced on circulating quarters in 1980, and the 1981 P issue was only the second year this mint mark appeared on regular Washington quarters. For collectors, this makes the 1981 P quarter an interesting transitional piece. While most 1981 P quarters remain in circulation and are considered common, pristine examples can be surprisingly difficult to find. Quarters struck at the Philadelphia Mint during this era were often produced with less than perfect strikes compared to the San Francisco or Denver mints. As a result, sharply struck, high-grade examples are particularly sought after and can command premium values in auctions and coin shows. Cultural and historical significance also play a role in the importance of the 1981 P quarter. By this time, the Washington quarter had become an icon of American coinage, recognized by nearly everyone. It was used daily by millions of Americans for vending machines, parking meters, and everyday transactions, The coin thus holds a nostalgic place in the memories of those who grew up in the 1980s. The 1981 P. Washington quarter also reflects the economic conditions of the early 1980s in the United States. It was a period marked by high inflation, economic recession, and significant political changes under the presidency of Ronald Reagan. Coins like the quarter continued to be the backbone of commerce, making them silent witnesses to this transformative period in American history. In conclusion, the 1981 P quarter dollar is more than just a common piece of pocket change. It represents a key chapter in the ongoing story of the Washington Quarter series, highlighting the introduction of the Philadelphia Mint Mark, the continued reliance on copper-nickel-clad coinage, and the enduring symbolism of George Washington. While most remain common and worth face value, higher grade and error examples are prized by collectors. Its everyday role in commerce ensures that it remains a familiar and beloved part of American numismatic history.